So today, we are diving into a pretty wild story. It's about a trading technology that was born from some serious ambition, collapsed in a truly spectacular way, and then was somehow reborn from the ashes with a secret weapon. This is all about finding a real financial edge in a market that, let's be honest, is designed to be incredibly tough to beat.
Create a new source of income, starting from absolute zero. I mean, that's a huge promise, right? But how on earth is that even possible in the high-stakes world of trading? Well, the answer is kind of fascinating. It's wrapped up in a story of technology, a huge failure, and a hidden truth about how the markets really work.
But before we can even talk about a solution, we have to get our heads around the core problem, the dilemma that trips up pretty much every aspiring trader out there. It's a modern challenge that, frankly, old-school wisdom just can't seem to solve anymore.
So let's ask the big question. Why do so many people who get into trading end up losing money? It's a super frustrating reality for millions, but the reason is probably simpler and a lot more systemic than you might think.
It really boils down to this. A lot of traders, they look the part. They've got the lingo down, the fancy multi-screen setup. They have this admirable image, but when you look at their account balance, it tells a sad story. They're basically trying to use knowledge from the legends of the past to compete in a market that has completely changed.
And this really highlights the massive gap in today's trading world. On one side, you have us, the individual traders, using techniques that were amazing decades ago. But on the other side, you've got these giant institutions pouring billions into their own secret technology. It's like showing up to a Formula One race with a horse and buggy.
And it was this exact problem that a small company down in Brazil decided to tackle way back in 2017. They had this incredibly ambitious idea. What if they could build a tool that could actually level that playing field?
The timeline here is just, wow, it's like a movie. It all kicks off in 2017. A team of engineers and analysts gets together, they raise about $1 million, and for 2 years they build. They get a working prototype. But just as they release it, boom, disaster strikes. A broker blocks their money, the investors sue, the company goes bankrupt, and the directors actually get arrested. The whole thing just implodes. But one person manages to save the most important piece from the wreckage, the core source code.
So what was so special about that code? Well, it held the key to a massive discovery the original team had made. Something they found deep in the market data that explained why the big institutions always seem to be one step ahead of everyone else.
Okay, here it is. This is the big secret. The team found out that the market data we all see, it's not the full story. It's actually tiered. Up at the top, you've got Network 1. That's for the biggest of the big banks. Then there's Network 2 for other large firms. And way down at the bottom, that's Network 3. That's the retail network. That's where most of us are, operating with, let's just say, a limited view.
And the implication of this is just huge. It means the institutions in those top networks can see pretty much everything, all the retail orders, the volume, even where your stop losses are. The source material puts it bluntly. They know exactly what you are doing. In a way, they are the market, and the whole system is built for them to stay on top. So, armed with this incredible insight and that rescued source code, a new project quietly began. The goal was to take that original, brilliant idea and rebuild it, refine it, and create a tool that could actually navigate this unfair, tiered market all on its own.
The whole concept was to build a virtual brain. So instead of relying on the same old technical indicators and chart patterns that everybody else is watching, this system runs on pure math. It crunches live market data to create its own formulas, essentially trying to figure out what the big players are likely to do before they even do it.
And after years of constant tweaking and refining, we get to this, the latest version, 8.89. And this isn't just a small update. It includes some massive leaps forward in how this virtual brain actually thinks, making it way smarter and, crucially, a lot safer.
And the headline here is this number, 75%. The new version managed to reduce its drawdown, which is basically the biggest drop an account takes from its peak, by a staggering 75%. And it does this by analyzing the market tick by tick, not just candle by candle, so it can react almost instantly to what's happening.
This update also brought in a really powerful new feature called lot sequencing. The best way to think about it is like a chess grandmaster for your trading account. It actually pre-plans a whole sequence of orders to manage risk, making sure to keep your margin free for important moves. This means that big, scary market volatility, well, it starts to look less like a threat and more like an opportunity.
Okay, so you've got this powerful piece of tech that was literally born out of this crazy story. The next big question for the new developers was, how do you get a tool designed to counter the big guys into the hands of regular traders? They knew they couldn't just use the usual channels, so they chose a totally different path.
And what they came up with was a partner program built on a super simple idea. You get your own unique link, you share it with people in your network, and you get paid. That's it. It's designed to be completely transparent and straightforward.
There are two really clear ways this works. First, you get an immediate bonus for every single person who signs up using your link. Simple. Second, you earn a recurring 20% commission on the value of every subscription that comes from one of your referrals.
All right, that all sounds pretty good in theory, but let's make it real. Let's actually put some numbers to this and walk through a simple, practical example to see what that earning potential really looks like.
So, let's just imagine for a second. You share your link around, and just 10 new people sign up through it. Not a huge number. And out of those 10, let's say half of them, so 5 people, decide, yep, I want this, and they buy a subscription.
Okay, so here's how the math works out. For those 10 referrals, you get a $10 bonus each. So 10 times 10, that's $100 right there. Then for the 5 subscriptions, with a plan value of $499, your 20% commission comes out to another $499.
You add those two numbers together, and in this one simple scenario, the total comes out to $599. It's just a really clear, straightforward example of how the whole thing is designed to work.
So to wrap this whole story up, what we have is this powerful technology that was literally rescued from the ashes of a failed company. It's built from the ground up to navigate a market where we now know the big institutions have a major advantage. And on top of that, it offers this simple partner program to create a whole new income stream literally from scratch. And all of this really brings us to the final and most important question. In a market that is, by its very design, tilted against the little guy, the biggest decision you have to make is your strategy. So how will you choose to win?